Hi everyone, I'm Guy, the CEO and co-founder of Enigma. I am very excited to do this first Enigma video, Ask Me Anything. We've got a bunch of really cool questions coming up, which me and Tor from the team will be answering. So to those of you who don't know, Enigma is a privacy protocol designed to solve the two biggest problems blockchains have, and that's privacy and scalability. To learn more about it, just look at the description of this video. You have some good links to get started, or you can go to our website enigma.co, and in there you can also find our blog. But right now, let's just dive deep into the questions.
And hey everybody, I'm BAIR. I'm the head of growth and marketing for Enigma. I've appeared in some of our other developer update videos and community videos. I'm going to be answering some of the questions too. Because we're a distributed team, you'll see me sometimes, you'll see Guy sometimes jumping in, but I'm excited to answer the questions too, so we're going to get right to it.
So first up, and we've been asked this quite a lot, how much ENG are required for a masternode? Well, as we said a few times already, the amount of ENG needed to run a node has yet to be determined. We want a number that ensures decentralization while still requires a meaningful stake. A meaningful stake is required because nodes, we need to be sure that if a node misbehaves, we can penalize them properly and accordingly. But at the same time, we want to make sure that as many participants can participate in the Enigma network. That said, whatever initial value we set at Enigma, and that will be determined closer to the mainnet date, that value is going to eventually be dynamic. Why dynamic? Because the supply of ENG is fixed on the one hand, but on the other hand, the network is dynamic itself. It is expected to grow. We expect more and more parties to join in helping secure the Enigma network. And in order to reconcile these two ideas, we have to make the stake itself dynamic. What milestones do you expect to achieve in 2018? Okay, that's exciting. 2018 is an exciting year for us. We have big plans ahead. Our first big milestone is that we're going to launch our on-chain data marketplace. Actually, it's a mix on-chain, off-chain data marketplace, which if you go to the blog about the future of Enigma and data, that is phase one of our roadmap. This would allow people who already use Catalyst to actually purchase data sets for their algorithms, and it would allow any data provider out there to serve data through the Enigma data marketplace. That is coming up very, very soon. I won't be more explicit than that, but you can expect a lot of news on that front, very soon. Next milestone. That's a big and exciting one. That's the one I'm personally most excited about. Getting to a testnet and a mainnet for the Enigma network, for the privacy protocol, where you can actually execute secret contracts at scale. That is due later this year, and we're targeting the second half of 2018, and I'd say the early second half of 2018 is what's likely. And of course, by the end of this year, we want to have the first third-party real applications built on the Enigma network. And this is already starting. We're already talking to partners. There's the PENTLAND partnerships that we announced recently that is actually an example of that. And if you're interested in that, if you're a developer, if you're a dApp developer, if you feel that Enigma can serve your needs, we've set up a new email called partnerships@enigma.co. Please send us an email there and we will be in touch with you.
This next question says, what interest is Enigma receiving from other crypto projects to implement the protocol? And broadly, how long will it be before a project fully utilizes the Enigma protocol to secure their data? Well, the interest from other projects has been really strong. People who understand the importance of what we're building are very excited to implement our technology and grow their own ideas. And in addition to our already announced partners, we're in deep conversations with serious crypto projects that are at every stage. That includes post-ICO, ICO pre-sale, and the announcement stage, all of which are looking to build on Enigma. In terms of timing, we're looking at the second half of 2018 to have a project actively building on Enigma. So one of the roles we have to take is to continue educating people on why they'd benefit from building on top of Enigma, and also we have to build a community of developers. And the main challenge in keeping this timeline is mostly around keeping our own development effort. So this should be the timing, the second half of 2018, as long as we continue our development pace and continue to grow our developer community as well as our team.
All right. Can you guys explain the extent of which Professor Alex Pentland is involved in the project? Advisor status mean different things among different projects. So Sandy, and I will call him Sandy because that's the name he goes by, that's what all of his students call him. Sandy is really more than an advisor. Okay, Sandy helped co-found Enigma, helped start Enigma, and a lot of where Enigma is today is thanks to the collaboration between mostly me personally and him as my advisor. So Sandy has been studying data privacy for over a decade. He's been working on that for over a decade. He's won numerous awards on that. He sits on the World Economic Forum, Council, an advisory board around data privacy. And that goes to show that Enigma is more than just a venture for him. For Sandy, Enigma is the first possible solution for the issue of data privacy at scale. Okay? And more than that, Sandy is my personal mentor. We've been working together for years, and he's heavily invested in Enigma's success. As a developer who has been doing some on-the-side development with Ethereum for about 2 years now, 2 years is impressive in this ecosystem, I would very much like to start experimenting with private contracts and private computations on data in general. When would I be able, and now there's a few questions about this, when would I be able to start to code some of my own private contracts, create some POCs, even on a testnet release? As I said, this is the second half of the year. You can expect that maybe a bit sooner. And if you really wanna, speed that up, just send us an email to partnerships@enigma.co, and we may be able to accommodate you even sooner than that. Okay, second question. Will the contract language be similar to Solidity? So actually it's gonna feel and look exactly like Solidity. The reason is that we want to be interoperable with the Ethereum stack in our first release, and that is because our beachhead market is decentralized applications developers. That's an underserved market, and the easiest way to attract them is to tell them, you can basically build on Enigma, but it would feel as if you're building on Ethereum. And right now we're actually trying to minimize or eliminate any changes between Solidity and anything else. So we're trying to get it to as close as possible to vanilla Solidity.
This question says, secret contracts could have major positive impact on blockchain adoption in enterprise businesses across all verticals. As you mentioned in your interview with Box Mining, for healthcare information like genomic data, records, etc., secret contracts would be vital to storing that kind of information on the blockchain. Have you discussed Enigma with any business entities? If so, how was it received by them? Well, Enigma is consistently in conversations with potential partners, and that includes business entities, institutions, governments, community members, and other blockchain-focused projects. Healthcare is one of the many industries that Enigma can reshape, and we do have ongoing conversations with entities in this space. Other verticals that have shown interest in Enigma are banking, data aggregators, advertising technology. We've received significant inbound interest from a number of firms. However, our policy is only to speak about specific partnerships when they're announced and when they're active. But we can say that our conversations are very promising, and our potential partners strongly share our excitement for the potential of Enigma.
What are the plans for the developer community? So the developer community is really, the most important, or one of the most important things we are looking into in terms of growth. We have a healthy and growing community of developers right now. We've just released a blog post around Catalyst usage, and you can see a steady growth of users, downloads, GitHub stars, and forks around Catalyst. That is super encouraging. What you don't see as much is the how our protocol community, developer community, is also increasing. This is more ad hoc right now. We're having conversations with potential partners. We've formed some partnerships and some are on the way, but this is really an important milestone for this year. On top of that, you can expect to see in the future our own hackathons and our own meetups forming. We want to create that as a global operation where people start playing around, fiddling around with the Enigma protocol. And we are also planning to introduce project bounties, as well as continue to form partnerships in order to ensure that more and more people are acquainted with the Enigma protocol and are able to build on it. What will be the cost for storing data on the Enigma network? So that is market driven. That is not something that we can say, but given that Enigma is meant to be scalable, which means that it's not a replicated state machine like blockchains, it should be much, much cheaper than current chains. That is part of what Enigma sets out to do.
This next question says, do you have any plans in creating a mainnet with your own Enigma coins instead of ERC20 tokens? And if yes, are there plans for the exchange rate? Well, there's no concrete plans to do that at this point, and if we do consider creating a mainnet, we will make sure that our decision is looking out for the best interest of token holders. So there's really no concern in that regard.
Will Enigma comply with major cybersecurity laws and standards such as GDPR, HIPAA, NIST, and others? While it is a major step for Enigma to open the possibility of secret contracts, the real barrier that would keep major corporations from adopting the protocol would be a lack of compliance with cybersecurity standards that they are already struggling to keep up with. Well, actually, one of the earliest conversations from the time we were at MIT and throughout our conversations with enterprises later on as we spun out Enigma were around HIPAA and GDPR compliance. And these organizations actually came to us saying, we believe your technology can actually help us become compliant with both HIPAA and GDPR. These were different organizations. So we are very excited about the possibility of having the Enigma technology actually contribute to better compliance. Now, we fully recognize and realize this is not something that, this is a long-term thing. It will require working together with these organizations and enterprises and regulators in order to figure how this would work. But Enigma could actually be the next step, I believe, over time, in actually making more organizations compliant in a much safer and better way for the consumer. But again, that said, that's longer term. Right now, we are fully focused on dApps developers, and we are building our network in a way that appeals to them. All right, next question. It seems that scalability and privacy are indeed two of the main issues facing the crypto world, i.e. Bitcoin's main flaws. How will Enigma help crypto scale? So Enigma takes the approach that not all nodes in the network need to compute everything, okay? That is the main approach, and that is the main way how you can utilize a distributed network better and get to much more scale. The way that this actually works is that Enigma sets out to be a second layer network where computations can run faster. Enigma network will maintain its own chain, kind of like an own state, kind of like its own blockchain, which can operate in a much more efficient, much faster way. But here's the thing. We are piggybacking on the security of a parent chain. So we can do everything at scale, we can do everything fast in our second layer network, but if some validator observe, some nodes cheating, then they can always appeal to the parent chain, which could then verify and validate that actually a node has cheated. That creates something very interesting because that actually means that our network can operate at a very high scale, and nodes are not likely to cheat because they know that if they ever do something bad, well, someone in the network can always detect that and basically dispute that above to the parent chain. And that is only possible really with a second layer network or kind of like a nested a nested structure of chains where not everything has to hit the main chain.
This next question is simply, what is your plan to get the word out about the Enigma project? Well, as the head of marketing and growth for Enigma, you can imagine that getting the word out about the project is really important for me, and it's really important to the project this year. It means we're going to have to get out into the blockchain ecosystem and community much more. We've already spoken at the World Crypto Economic Forum this month. Our co-founder John will be speaking at the DEVCON in San Francisco on January 30th. Overall, we plan to be attending a lot more events and in particular expanding our global presence. We want to continue building our community and working with partners to educate people about Enigma and the importance of solving privacy and scalability for blockchains. And in the second half of this year, we want to start holding more meetups and hackathons ourselves to introduce people to our protocol and to our technology.
Vitalik planned to improve the privacy and scalability of Ethereum. Are you worried? So first of all, I'm excited to see brilliant minds like Vitalik and the Ethereum Foundation work on these issues. These are the issues that prevent us from making blockchains and blockchain technology the next internet. So I would really want every bright mind out there in industry, academia, or wherever to just drop everything and just focus on these issues. That's one thing. Second, Enigma can help all blockchains. This is not just about Ethereum. And third, and most importantly, scalability and privacy are multifaceted problems. As researchers who have been working on blockchain data privacy research for many years now, I believe we have a really good understanding of what needs to be done. And I can tell you, that is something that took us a few years to realize. It's not something that's so easy to do. And I believe we have a very good head start. But beyond that, Enigma, as I said, just a couple of moments ago, is a second layer network, and that allows us to solve the problem from a different perspective than what a first layer solution would do. And in that sense, we're completely orthogonal, completely complementary to Ethereum and other first layer solutions, and that basically means that whatever advancements we make on scalability and privacy can actually be fitted well with first layer solutions, even if they have their own set of solutions to these problems.
This question's about one of our upcoming events. It says, with you speaking at NEO DevCon, does it mean that Enigma has plans to work with NEO as well? So that event's coming up on January 30th. As a general rule, we don't comment on any potential partnerships until they're actually announced. That said, Enigma is intended as a blockchain agnostic technology. So while initially we are focusing on the Ethereum chain, we are building a general solution. So we look forward to presenting at the conference next week and speaking with the other attendees there and hopefully getting some footage out for the community as well.
Okay, changing the pace a bit. What will be the ergonomics of the data marketplace? Will it be like a web portal? Well, right now it's being built into Catalyst API, which means that in the Catalyst command line tools where you can run your algorithms, you will also have new commands to actually browse datasets and actually subscribe and pay for them. This is actually pretty cool. We're integrating that with existing wallets like Parity and MyEtherWallet so that you don't have to trust Catalyst. You can trust some well-known local wallets and you don't have to trust anyone with your private keys. And we're also developing a server component for the data providers so they can register and serve datasets to the network. Later on, we plan to put a GUI on top of that. So, as the question mentions, we plan to build a web-based application to help navigate through the different datasets, their properties, and so forth. Basically making this process more streamlined.
This next question says, I'm a Japanese Enigma holder and I love the Solid team. Thank you. Do you have any plans to promote Enigma in the Japanese market? If so, how are you going to do that? Well, I'll expand the question a bit and talk about all of Asia more generally, including Korea and China. Building awareness and community in Asia overall is a huge priority for us this year, especially as we approach the launch of our mainnet. We intend to do remote appearances to start, such as webinars, and then eventually we want to build up to an in-person trip. And we know that Japan has a fantastic crypto community, and the government there, of course, has already recognized the potential of blockchain and crypto. So if you're a member of our community who speaks Japanese, Korean, or Chinese, if you're based in Asia, and you want to help us build local communities, whether it's developer communities or project supporters, please contact me, Tor. My information is going to be in the video description below, and I'd love to talk to you.
Coming next, we have a few good technical questions. How are token holders who stake tokens protected from penalty if there is some bug in the code that causes a node to crash or not behave properly? So, by definition, this cannot really happen. Following the code means that a node is behaving properly. Any deviation from the code means that you break protocol and you shall be penalized, and that is easy, or maybe not easy, but that is possible to detect. So having a code that crashes a node is not likely because blockchains are well segregated and well sandboxed from everything else in the system. We've seen that in Ethereum, in pretty much any blockchain, and that's likely to be the case with Enigma as well. There is really only one possibility where you can get false positives, and that is when you penalize a node that accidentally crashed, although its intention was good. It's intended to be honest. Maybe it had some power supply shortage or something similar. Unfortunately, and this is true for all distributed systems, intent is not something that can be quantified or measured. Okay, the only thing you can measure is the result. So from the network's perspective, a node that crashes accidentally looks the same as a node that crashes because it's malicious. In both cases, that node will be penalized, and that is actually not a bad thing because that incentivizes good nodes to actually make sure that they have good, stable, robust connection and infrastructure that can better serve the network. All right, here's an interesting one. You have talked about secure multi-party computation and also secure hardware implementation. You said that secure hardware is better performance. Can you explain the difference and the roadmap for Enigma to implement both these technologies in the public protocol? Well, secure hardware relies on keeping data encrypted at all times until it hits an enclave, which is sandboxed from everyone. What does that mean? Basically, when you're using secure hardware, data is encrypted on the outside at all times, but all computations and everything that is executed on the data itself is being done in some kind of enclave that is completely shut down from the outside world. And that actually gets us to a point where an adversary, even if that adversary controls the node itself, cannot really see the data or even the code that it's computing on. So this is the type of privacy preserving technology that is hardware assisted but can actually get us really good results out of the gate. It's also very interoperable with pretty much any other technology stack out there. So those are good things. On the other hand, we have MPC, multi-party computation. Multi-party computation is a purely cryptographic technique. The good part is that it's very neat, right? Like you have a cryptographic model, you have very solid proofs over the decades that actually prove that you can compute over encrypted data as long as you trust the network model. And that network model being that you trust that some portion of the network does not collude. And that is a parameter that you can tweak, and it has different trade-offs. So balancing these two technologies, we've looked at both of them quite a lot. I've been researching MPC and privacy and preserving technologies for quite a while. Not many know, but one of my thesis advisors, Professor Srini Devadas, is actually one of the leading researchers of trusted execution environments, which is basically secure hardware. And so we've looked at both. Both of these has advantages and disadvantages. Secure hardware, as I said, provides better performance and more interoperable, but it is susceptible to side channels attacks, which is an open research topic. MPC, on the other hand, has its own deficiencies. The network model is something that you just gotta live with. So at Enigma, we're looking at both, and right now we're exploring the utility of both technologies for the first release. Right now, what we are leaning towards and what we are working on is having secure multi-party computation for some of the internal network randomized protocols, but from a developer's perspective, for the secret smart contracts component, it will mostly be assisted by secure hardware, at least in the first release. Okay. Are there minimum server specifications required to run a node, or will the node selected be based off requirements by the applications that will find a suitable node? All right, this is pretty simple. Most new commodity hardware should suffice. We want maximum decentralization, so any up-to-date computer should work. The one exception is embedded hardware, stuff like Raspberry Pi. We will probably not support these and even discourage using them because they just might not be, they may not cut it for the applications that we are targeting. Next question. In Vitalik's blog, he mentions that SMPC is a good solution to privacy, but maybe better suited to private blockchains. Can you address this statement that nodes may be able to save the data and collude in the future? Has Enigma addressed this? So there are actually several mechanisms against this. If you want and it's a spectrum. Okay, if you want maximum privacy, you will want to run your own node for computations that touch your data. And that ensures that no collusion can happen because you will never collude with an adversary who wants to decrypt your data. So this is really akin to running a full node in blockchain systems where you do that because you don't want to trust anyone else. Right? Okay. Other mechanisms that we've worked on are proactive secret sharing. And if you're interested, you can search my thesis, and there's, I believe, a chapter or a section about that. Basically, what it says is that you can continuously refresh the nodes. So the nodes themselves in the Enigma network can actually, every few hours, every few days, just go into a protocol that says, we are refreshing all the shares that we keep. And basically that means that even if adversarial nodes save the data and try to collude, well, they have a very limited time window for that to be successful. So it becomes really hard. And a third solution is that you can also trust reputable nodes in the network. So imagine Enigma running nodes or like universities and nonprofits, and you can include those in the computation, and these are less likely to collude with others. So that is kind of like there's some trust here, but you can get better guarantees there without actually running your own nodes. Okay, next question. Will pooling of tokens be enabled so those with smaller tokens amount can join a pool to run a node? Answer is most likely yes, but not in the first release. Or most likely not in the first release. We do want everyone to be able to assist in securing the network. However, we, just by in terms of our roadmap, this is most likely will happen later on.
Well, that's actually it. We've managed to get through 20 or more of the most upvoted questions from our Reddit thread. Again, this was all to promote us passing 5,000 subscribers on Reddit, so thank you so much for the support. As of the posting of this video, we've actually passed 9,000 subscribers on Reddit, and we'll probably have to do something to celebrate 10,000 subscribers as well, so we'll keep you posted on that. In the meantime, again, thank you for watching the whole video, and I'll let Guy have the last word.
It was really a pleasure having this with you, with our community. I was fascinated and excited about the level of questions we received. I'm actually humbled by how far our community has progressed in the last few months, and those in-depth questions really show that. So thank you, everyone. and I really hope to share more information with you in the nearby future.